Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Voodoo Garden. My name is Ray. I will be your host. This is kind of a bittersweet episode in the Voodoo Garden because this is the final episode that you're going to be seeing the peppers and tomatoes in the Voodoo Garden. Yeah, it's time. It's kind of sad because I've gotten so used to growing these in here, and I do grow tomatoes and peppers indoors, but I need the room right now for some tropicals that I have, and it's spring, so it's time for these things to go out in the garden. That's what I was growing them for all this time. They were made to go into the garden. These are not going to be indoor plants, so it's okay. I don't want to see them go because I'm having so much fun indoors, but these were grown specifically for going out into my garden. And I showed you from the very beginning how I planted them, grew them, transplanted them, snipped them, trimmed them, shaped them, got them all ready for their big debut out in the garden. And this is the last episode I'm going to do on these plants and the last demo for indoors that I'm going to be doing. From now on, you're going to be seeing these bad boys bad girls, outdoors in the raised bed garden. So tune into the Praxis 55712 channel on that. I'm going to trim these up, take them outside, and start hardening them off. For those of you who don't know what hardening off means, when you have something growing indoors, no matter how bright the light is, no matter how good your conditions, eventually if you're going to be taking them outside, they need to get what's called hardened off. All that means, it's a fancy term for acclimated to a new environment. And outdoors is going to be a lot sunnier, a lot windier, a lot harsher environment than your perfect indoor environment. And the sun's going to be really, really bright. Now what's going to happen if you take these out and just plant them in the garden, generally what's going to happen is the leaves are going to get a little bit blotchy with white, yellowish white blotches and stuff, and the leaves are going to wilt and it's going to look really like crap. That's because they're not acclimated to your garden. The way we acclimate them is we take them out to start out for a short period of time, put them in shade, maybe for an hour or so, bring them back in. Doesn't sound like much, but it's kind of like you when you're getting a suntan first thing in the season. You want to go out and just start out gradual, because if you do what I do and you just go out there and toss your shirt off, you turn as red as a cherry. Well, plants don't suntan. What they do is they just kind of fall apart. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be acclimating these. Well, you and I are going to be acclimating these to the outside. What I do is I take them outside, set them outside for about a half an hour in the shade, bring them back in. Next day, a little bit longer, maybe an hour in the shade. Bring them back in. The next day after that, maybe a little bit into some morning sun, just a half an hour or so, bring them back in. It's kind of a slow process, but you want to get them used to the outdoors slowly, okay? And when I acclimate my plants, even though I take it slow, these plants start looking like crap. And that's because the delicate leaves and the delicate stems aren't really used to being outside. And you're going to lose some leaves, you're going to get some leaves with brown edges. That's perfectly fine, and that's perfectly normal. Plants are going to lose some of their leaves, they're going to go through a little bit of stress, but once they acclimate and get used to that sun, you're going to see something really fantastic. They're going to get new clusters of dark, sturdy green leaves. Their stems are going to start darkening up, thickening up, and then they're going to start growing, okay? So no worries at all. These are going to be just fine. They're just going to look a little bit, I don't know, ratty. So this is the last shot of a good-looking pepper plant indoors. And I've been trying, I gotta admit, I've been really trying to keep the flowers pruned off of these things, and that's what I recommend when you're growing them inside and you're getting them ready for outside. By the way, these are a little bit bigger than most people's pepper plants. That's because I start mine around Christmas time. These were started around the end of December, so they're a few months old right now. Most people will start their plants about 4 to 6 weeks before they go outside, and the reason I'm doing this with my fingers is because this is about how big your plants are going to be if you start them about 4 weeks. It takes a little while for them to sprout and then to grow. I like mine to be a little bit more advanced, and the reason I do that is because I want these things to start producing sooner as opposed to later. The sooner they can produce, the more I get. It makes sense to me, and it makes sense to these plants. So I start them out earlier. I have the grow lights. They get mature. They develop their sturdy stems, and when they go outside, they're doing a lot better. Thing is that when they're growing inside, I like to pop these little buds off and the flowers and get them off the plants. That produces more green growth and encourages them to grow more and strengthen more and prepare more for being outside. And it's tempting to let them flower, and I've just gotten lazy. I've had a lot of things on my plate lately, and I'm not just making excuses, I have. And I've kind of neglected these in the way of pruning off the flowers. So this one is swarming in flowers. It's got more flowers than a flowering crabapple tree. And it's just crazy. It's raining flowers all over my grow room. What can I do? I was lazy. So anyway, I want to show you the last pruning and show you what these look like up close. Okay, so come on, have a seat over here, and let's do the final treatment on the plants before they go outside, okay? This first pepper plant is called an elephant ear, and I believe the reason it's called that is because the peppers are just freakishly huge. But aside from just being huge, they're delicious. They're sweet peppers, and I love sweet peppers. But I'm not really too fond of bell pepper, so I'm always trying different kinds of sweet peppers. This plant, from the pot to the top, is approximately, I'd say, over 2 feet tall. So that's a good start on the plant, and I want to show you the base of it before I start pruning, because this is a standard of what I like to do with my plants. When they first start growing, I prune them, and as I've shown before, and for those of you who haven't seen this, this is where I pruned the original plant, and it forced more strong stems to grow out, from the sides. We've got the second one there and the third one here. So that's a triad of stems, and this is fully self-supporting. It will never have to be supported as far as I know, and that's a good thing for pepper plants, especially ones that are going to have huge peppers on them. You want to make sure you have strong stems, and that's what I've done to this one. You can see all the way to the top. It's got really nice stems, and it is starting to flower, see? Yeah, I gotta pop those things off, and it's going outside soon. And if you have flowers and peppers on your plant and they go outside, like I said, they're going to be going through a little bit of stress, which is okay. But if they're having to support flowers and peppers, the stress can be a little bit harsh on them, and it can slow them down in the long run. So it's good to forego the flowers right off the bat. Let's swing over to the other one. I want to show you what that one's doing. The second one is called a yellow monster. I love the name, but it's a yellow monster, and its name comes from having huge peppers as well. Monstrously huge peppers, and it's got a slightly different growth pattern. It seems to be inclined to have more stems on the inside. Just a flurry of these things going on inside, no matter how much I prune them off. But look at the flowers. And I can tell you, it smells beautiful in here. I really like the smell of pepper flowers, and this thing is literally loaded with them. And this is indoors, and this is after I've been trying to keep those things off, so you can imagine what it's going to be like once it goes outside. Yeah, it's raining flowers in here, but this will give you a good shot of what pruning will do for your pepper plants, okay? Look at this. At the base of it, well, first of all, here's where I originally pruned it, right here at my fingertip. It's got 1, 2, 3 stems, but one of the things I want to show you right up close is the knuckles, or I call them the muscle, right at the base of the stem. That is a tissue buildup that is going to be very, very helpful in supporting these stems. It's extra tissue which helps support heavy loads, and this one does it really, really well. It's called the yellow monster, and look at that. They got strong biceps. This is a very healthy plant. It's got a very low center of gravity. It's going to withstand the Iowa winds and heavy loads of production a lot better than some varieties, and also the unpruned. Now, one thing I don't really much care for is when my plants start crossing stems. See, this one crosses over, this one crosses over. That's really not my favorite thing, so I might end up pruning this off. I really don't know yet. I'm going to have to decide later. That's something that I don't like to do spur of the moment. I like to actually look at it, kind of like a bonsai, you know, look at it, get a feel for it, see where I really want it to go. That's just one of those things that's hard to teach people, but I do the best that I can. This needs to be trimmed up one final time, and what I mean by trimmed up is a few of the inner stems that I don't think are going to be good ones need to come out before I take it outside, because once it gets acclimated, also the less excess stuff I have in here, the easier it's going to acclimate outside, because it's going to be getting ready for the new sun, the new wind, and all that stuff. The less stuff it has to support, the easier it is going to be to acclimate. So I'm going to trim off also the lower leaves. These things have to come off, because that's just going to be an invitation for blight and any other kind of fungus. I like to keep the bottoms open so that air can get underneath it. Okay, let's get all of this stuff off of here. Having sharp clippers or a sharp knife really does help you out when you're trimming these things up. So I definitely recommend it. Get yourself some good tools. They're not really that expensive. Just get a good pair of clippers, scissors. Even regular scissors work for this, for just trimming off the leaves and stuff. You don't need anything fancy like this. Just regular scissors. I used to use regular scissors, but then again, I lose my regular scissors. I don't know where they went. And they're somewhere in the house. Hopefully Rascal's not running around with them. And that's literally all I'm going to do to the base of this. Yep. And that's ready to go. Now, when I transplant this out into the garden, by the way, I want to mention that when I transplant my peppers, I plant them just a little bit deeper than the original pepper plant. Some gardeners will tell you not to. Listen to whoever you want to listen to. What I do is I transplant them deeper when I put them into a new pot, but no deeper than the original seed leaves. You know, when a pepper plant sprouts, the first 2 leaves that come out, those are called the seed leaves. And let that thing grow in a small container, and then once it gets larger, when it's time to transplant, you take that, put it into a new pot, bury the stem up to the seed leaves, and that's as deep as it ever goes. You want those roots down as deep as you can possibly get them. Okay, that does it for this one. Let's go on to the other. And this one is putting peppers out way down at the base. We don't need that. Peppers that are going to come down this low are just going to hit the soil, and you're just asking for problems. And also, I already have my 3 main stems. I don't need any more little stems coming out. And you may be tempted to let those grow, but what's going to happen is they're generally going to be anemic, you know, really thin and wimpy, and that draws energy away from your main plant. So let's get all of those off. Get this leaf out of your way so you can see what I'm doing. There you go. This little stemette type thing, I'm just going to pinch that off with my fingers. There. That's gone. And there really isn't a whole heck of a lot more. You know what? I just use my hands. Yeah, I do use scissors when it comes to filming and demoing, but generally I just take my fingernails and just snip them right off. It's the quickest way for me, unless I need to get really inside the plant like this. This has got to go. This has got to go. There. Now that opens them up beautifully. And we have a really nice looking strong stem that goes into the soil. When I put this outside, it's going to be just maybe a ½ inch deeper, and that's going to be it. So it's going to look like it starts out as 3 plants at base level. That's it, folks. Very, very simple. It was a very easy plant to grow. The tricks are really just common sense. There's really no gimmicks or anything when it comes to growing these things. Just snip off a few here and there, form them into, as much as I can give you advice, I would say 3 stems is the best if you can get them. Now, no plant is perfect. They're not all going to put out these 3 perfect stems. I got lucky. Sometimes I only have 2, and that's good enough for me. Later on, maybe up on the strongest one, another one comes out. That'll be the 3rd. We got to play it by ear, because plants don't play it by the book that everybody wants to read on plants. Every plant is a little bit different, so you just got to play it by ear. Okay, now we go to the fun stuff. The tomatoes are always fun for me because they just go nuts. And this big monstrosity here is called Boxcar Willie. Boxcar Willie is a delicious tomato I've been growing for a few years. And it's an indeterminate, which means it'll continue to grow and flower and produce from the very beginning until frost kills the plant. It will never ever stop. It's like the Terminator. It absolutely will not stop. And determinate tomatoes are the kind of plants that grow up, put out their flowers, put out their fruit all at once, and then you harvest them, and then you're done for the season. They really aren't going to do much else after that. And those are grown by companies like Campbell's and other, like the Heinz company. They need to do those because they want to harvest everything all at once and not have to take their machinery through every week and try and harvest a few tomatoes here and there. That just doesn't work. So determinate tomatoes are generally for production growth. These are more for an all-season plant. And plus, the old-timey tomatoes tend to be indeterminate. And those tend to have a better flavor as far as I'm concerned. So this is called Boxcar Willie. I grow it because it's not so much a sweet tomato, it's more of a tangy, full-flavored, old-fashioned tomato, the kind that you just stick in your mouth and take a big bite out of out in the garden, and you go, oh, yeah, that's what this is. The tomatoes are small beefsteak type tomatoes, about, you know, the size of a baseball, but not quite a softball, you know, a little bit bigger than a baseball. That's about a baseball size, okay? They're going to be just fine for slicing, for canning, for everything. It's an all-purpose tomato as far as I'm concerned. It makes great sauce, great juice, great fresh eating. It's a wonderful thing. Now, this is one plant. This is one plant, by the way, and this is the beginning of what's called the praxis method of growing. Now, all the praxis method is it's a very simple thing. You plant your seeds in a little tiny container inside to start them out. Every time you transplant it into a bigger container as it grows, you bury it deeper. And then the next time you bury it deep as well. You keep burying more stem because every part of a buried stem on a tomato is going to grow roots. And so what you want to do is you want to get as many roots as possible. The more roots, the better it grows. The better it grows, the more roots. So it's like this weird exponential effect. And when I take it out to the garden, the second half, which makes the praxis method, the first half, bury it deep. Second half is I'm promoting suckers, whereas a lot of gardeners will not promote suckers. They try to get rid of suckers and grow vertical. I grow horizontal, then vertical. Okay, that's where my method differs. I promote low suckers on the plant. I love to get those. I chop off the tomato, let the low suckers grow out, and then as it grows, I chop off the stuff that grows up and promote low suckers, and that way it's crawling along the ground. Now the reason I do that is because I'm going to bury this plant, this whole thing, root ball, everything. This is going to be a chore for me to do. It's really not easy to do unless you slice the pot and throw it away. I've done this many years, so yeah, it's really not a big deal for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transplant this out into the garden, bury it deep, and all of these stems, don't worry, I'm going to give you a close-up look. All of these stems that are going out sideways are going to be buried underneath the soil, and only the tips are going to be showing. What that's going to do is it's going to put the original root ball, which is way down there, even deeper into the ground, almost 2 feet deep. It's going to get the deep, cool soil that never dries out. So your plants will never dry out. And the upper roots that are going to be on these lateral, this is called the trench method, where you lay the roots down and bury them. Those are going to get the warm soil, and they're going to get the surface moisture. So whenever it rains just a little bit, it's going to get water. When it rains a lot, they're going to get water, and also it's going to feed the lower soil. And you know, one of the main problems that people have is calcium problems when they're growing their tomatoes. Well, if you do them with this method, you generally do not have blossom end rot. You don't have that calcium problem because the watering is more even. Like I said, the deep roots never run out of water. And uneven watering is generally the reason that your plant does not take up calcium correctly. Kind of cool, huh? It was just one of those common sense things. I didn't invent this method. It's just something that I seem to have perfected, and it works really well for me, so I teach it to other gardeners. If you want to try this, just keep up and watch how I plant these things and grow them throughout the season. This is going to produce really well. Now, what I need to do is one last trimming on this before it goes outside and gets prepped to go out into the garden. And I wanted to wait until you were here. And it's really kind of fun. Come on over here, sit in front of the Boxcar Willie. And boy, does it smell good too. It smells like pepper flowers and tomato flowers in here. It's a wonderful day in the Voodoo Garden. Check this out. Let's start trimming. Oh, this is a good shot of the tomato. Now what I'm going to be doing is, when like I said, I'm going to be transplanting this and burying all of these stems. So the soil level is going to be approximately up to here, maybe about 2 to 3 inches above the original soil level. And when you plant a tomato and bury any part of it, you want to make sure you get these little leaf stems out of there, because if they're underneath the soil, they're going to die, they're going to decompose, and that's going to take away some of your nitrogen from your plants. So what we want to do is we want to have just bare stem running along the ground. This leaf that's going down would be underneath the soil. That's got to go. I know it seems kind of drastic, but the stuff that's going to be above the soil, this growing tip right here, is going to be a new plant with the main body right here, all of these roots, and it's going to grow straight up, and it's going to be a whole new plant away from the center. And that's going to be beautiful. They're not going to be too crowded. They're not going to be growing straight up. They're not going to need to be caged as much as a straight up tomato. They'll be caged, but in a whole different manner. I'll be showing you that, so don't worry about that. Let's see, let's get this away. Don't want that underneath there. Let's see, what else do we want? It's kind of, like I said, a little bit science, a little bit art. I'm going to take this one off too. Don't need that. Now, once I get this thing transplanted into the garden, I really don't do a heck of a lot of trimming and I just let it go. But for right now, when it's growing inside, I want to make sure it doesn't flower. All the flower buds get pinched off, and that's quite the job too, because this thing really wants to produce, and I really don't want it to produce. Now, to keep the blight down, you want to make sure that you keep, of course, any kind of growth that's going to be down at ground level like this away from there. And also, when you have this thing buried really deep, you don't have to water it every single day, and you don't have to keep the soil moist. Now, when you have moist soil in a humid, it's humid, it's hot, that is just a breeding ground for the fungus that's going to attack your tomato plants. You've seen early blight, and you'll notice it. It'll be like the yellow dots on your plants, and then they turn kind of brownish on the dots, and the leaf kind of curls up and just goes bad, and then you want to get rid of it. Now, this will not stop blight. Blight is a fungus, okay? It's not your tomato's fault. It's not your fault. It blows in on the wind, okay? This is something that just happens to tomato plants. But you can get the best advantage by keeping the growth that's at ground level down. You want to keep it up off the ground, and that's what this is going to do. The stems are going to go up off the ground after they come out, and there's going to be no green growth here, and we won't be watering this quite as much. The topsoil can remain relatively dry, which is a poor environment for fungus, but it's going to be very moist way down on the bottom. So the plant's going to be healthy, watered, calcium isn't going to be a problem, not as much humidity. It's a win-win situation for our plants. And yeah, this is what it looks like. I know it looks drastic. Look at this huge pile. Now, I could be taking cuttings, and people call it cloning. I call it just taking cuttings. I could take these and I could transplant them into some soil and have more plants, but I don't need more plants. So that's just going to go into the compost. But we have this all taken care of. Bare stems all over the place, and I've been aiming this, pruning it throughout the winter to get it to look exactly like this. And there's a reason for everything that I do here. These are going to go out to the four corners of the 4 foot by 4 foot raised bed. Now, it's 4 foot by 4 foot wide, and it's going to be 20 inches deep. This pot is about maybe a foot to 18 inches deep. So we're going to be taking this all the way down to the bottom. And that means that this is going to be buried way the heck up to here. All of this is going to be root space right here. And this is going to be the center part right here. This is going to go out this way. This is a corner, a corner, a corner, a corner. And then they're going to go underneath the ground, come up, and it's going to look like a whole bed full of tomato plants. And one of the things that people will ask me, and I answer this every single year, is, Ray, why don't you just grow a whole bunch of tomato plants? And the reason is because I don't need a whole bunch of tomato plants. One tomato plant will do the job, and this is going to have an extensive root system, and it's not going to be competing for space, for growth, and I don't have to have 4 different pots going at the same time. This does everything I need, and it's very, very simple for me to do. Well, that's about it. It's kind of weird, it's coming to an end, but that's the way it always is, every single year. It's always kind of sad to see them go outside, but I know that they got the best possible start possible, and that makes me happy, and they're going to do very well in the outside garden. And it also clears up more room for more stuff in the Voodoo Garden, and I really do like that, because my wintertime growing is one thing, my summertime growing is another. It's just a whole different feel in the Voodoo Garden. So it's time for another chapter in the Voodoo Garden, time for these ones to get out and do their thing outside. If, by the way, you have any questions concerning your indoor plants, trimming, pruning, anything at all concerning indoor gardening, please post it in the comment section below. I will answer as many questions as I can to the very best of my ability. And until next time in the Voodoo Garden, this is Ray and his ready to go outside plants. We are out of here. And, my clippings too. Compost! Calm yourself, Ray. Oh, it smells good though. Yeah, it does. Summertime.